Evening, Chris.
Examining our top story in a little bit more detail tonight, Ukraine. Obviously, some pretty extraordinary images have been emerging on the internet.
That's right, and you can get them on, obviously, on social media, where a lot of them are being retweeted or tweeted for the first time. Also, news websites collating and selecting the most striking of those images. And here's a selection from LeMonde.fr. This first photograph was taken in the last 24 hours. It shows cobblestones being fired at the Ukrainian parliament. And it's sort of reminiscent of scenes from 1968 in Paris, where cobblestones were used quite extensively in those historic protests. You also have this image here. This is protesters facing off with the riot police. That was taken by Maxim Lyukov of Reuters. The next image shows the statue in the center of Maidan Square, a statue in honor of the founders of Kiev. A lot of people on social media have been comparing that particular image with Liberty Leading the People by Delacroix. So certainly, you know, images such as this, and here's another one of a protester taking cover behind some, trash cans, etc., but with a rainbow coming through. It's very photogenic, it's very aesthetic, but obviously it's also extremely dangerous to be in the middle of those sort of clashes in the middle of Ukraine. So I think there's a mixture of fascination with the aesthetic aspect of it, the striking nature of those images, but also, with the very real danger that is coming through in a lot of those pictures being shared on news websites and social media as well. Also, Chris, a lot of people on Maidan calling themselves Maidaners. These are often young Ukrainian protesters communicating in English on social media. Here's a Facebook page that was set up in the English language, and that's only one of many, with images, for example, inside St. Michael's Church in the centre of Kiev. So very much eager to communicate, without any interlocutor or without any media in between the protesters and those, accessing those messages on social media. There's also this YouTube video which has had almost 1.4 million views in about a week, Chris, and that is by a young Ukrainian woman communicating in English. This is the kind of thing you're finding on those Facebook pages. And let's take a listen to an extract of that video.
I am on Maidan, on the central part of my city. I want you to know why thousands of people all over my country are on the streets. There is only one reason. We want to be free from a dictatorship. That's why I ask you now to help us. We have this freedom inside our hearts. We have this freedom in our minds. And now I ask you to build this freedom in our country. You can help us only by telling this story to your friends, only by sharing this video. Show that you support us.
So obviously a lot of people conscious of the power of social media as a vector for their message to get it out there to the broader public, Chris.
And a lot of solidarity for those protesters emerging on Twitter.
That's right. You can see that the return of that communication, I suppose, people communicating across social media from Syria to Ukraine protesters, or to the Ukraine protests. Good luck with your struggle, and hope you all the best, or wish you all the best. That's just one regular guy in Mohammed Al-Bardin writing from Ukraine. He's also saying, organise yourself, spread your demands with love, smiles and roses, and again, stay peaceful, stay peaceful, stay peaceful. Now, you would think from messages such as that this is all just a case of, revolution happening sort of seamlessly, people rising up, the authorities are pressing it, but it will be successful in the end. But of course, politics is playing a big part in all of this. And this particular headline in the Kiev Post is pointing out that Maidan, that's the name of the square where everyone's protesting, is more than protest to some. It's a trademark. And you have Maidan, Euromaidan. This is an anti-government movement in Ukraine that have tried to make that into a trademark, perhaps to make money out of it, or at least to identify their political movement with Maidan. You also have politicians tweeting aplenty. That's Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, blaming all of this on Western countries interfering in events by courting the protesters. You have the French foreign minister, along with others, also tweeting. He's saying here in French that he will be in Kiev tomorrow along with his German and Polish counterparts. You have Bernard-Henri Lévy. Now, he's been saying over much of the last week, that is, of course, the famous French philosopher who is famously political and called...
media-friendly.
Media-friendly, and frequently mixes philosophy with interventionist political activism. He said that Kiev is Europe's capital, but today he took that up a notch or two, saying European countries need to stop or boycott their participation in Sochi a lot of people in the French media disagreeing with that, saying, look, that this is athletics shouldn't be mixed up with politics. But inevitably, a lot of the protests that we're seeing in Kiev are being drawn into one political persuasion or another, or being manipulated in some way or another.
And I suspect you'll be telling us plenty more about Ukraine on social media tomorrow night, James. Thanks very
Indeed.
much.
Thanks, Chris.
For Media Watch for now. Next up, it's Focus, and he's a household name here in France. And next month, he'll be stepping